Hello, hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to another StarCraft 2 broadcast. I am Anaris here today with the first game in a best-of-3 match series between Strifecrow and Axelov, spawning for Team Evil Geniuses down in the bottom left position against Nova and Tosh, so representing Team Mousesports up here in the top right on the map, High Orbit. Now, this is the last best-of-3 match series that I have from this particular tournament. I'm very sorry about that. I'm going to try to see if I can find some more 2v2s. If you actually have any epic 2v2s, you know, by epic I mean intense matches, kind of like what we saw in game number 1 of the previous 2v2 match set, then definitely send them to my email address. That's anaristarcraft@gmail.com, and same goes for 3v3s and 4v4s, man. Team games always make for great fun. So just, again, send them to me at anaristarcraft@gmail.com. You can find it in the video description below if you forgot how to spell it. So let's go on to the match now. We're a little bit into it. I'm looking at the builds here. We do have Nova opening up with a 10 pool and 10 gas. I'm really wondering if he's going to be looking to put some early pressure on his opponents here, which Strifecrow just now dropped his pool, sitting at around, I think it was a 12 pool right there, as that drone just built a second ago. And Axelov can't really get a good read on him just yet, sitting at 13 supply. Okay, that's what I was looking for. I was going to see if he was going to drop that gas or if he's going to be going something like 2x pressure. But yeah, we're going to see him open up with that. And I'm really curious to see if he's going to be going ahead and teching up or if he's just going to be kind of hanging out, you know, bio, a little bit of tier 1. You know, that's always this thing with 2v2, man. You can't really commit to a traditional 1v1 strategy. You kind of have to go with a little bit different in the way of build orders. You have to go with things that complement each other. Such as, you know, game number 1, which actually we might see here. Game number 1 with Mana, Thorzane, Kaz, and Aristio, we saw that one base Infestor play that Aristio did, and it ended up working fairly well. I mean, they were able to take off an expansion, and that was on a map, Monsoon, I believe, where it was, you know, a relatively exposed, easy-to-take expansion. So I'm really wondering now, with this being another map where the expansions are kind of put off away from the bases, which would be right here, and the main entrance is right here, so you can isolate the two. And obviously we do have Nova not opening up with an early expand here. You see he is working on that metabolic boost and throwing down a couple additional drones here. I'm really going to be curious to see how he capitalizes on that early pool, early gas that he got. If he's going to be going for some sort of early pressure in the mineral line. Looking at the Zerg player, he would be quite vulnerable. I mean, considering the fact that he really only has a couple Zerglings. The other defense, a bunker, couple Marines, okay, that's great. But still, man, when you've got a player that commits pretty heavily to Zerglings early on without a good wall off, it can be very difficult to recover from that. So we'll actually see what happens here in the coming moments, as Strifecrow has actually managed to get a Zergling up here and will be scouting out his opponent. Now he's going to come up, and he's really not going to see too much other than the fact that, yes, okay, there's already, you know, 100 gas there off of the extractor, so that's all fine and dandy, but he's going to notice the drone count. He's going to see maybe a couple less than there would be if he decided to go for, say, a 14 pool, you know, 14 gas and commit to a build like that. But no, we are going to see Nova actually decide to run by the defenses entirely, which unfortunately here for Strifecrow, his Zerglings could have at least partially prevented, but they were out of position to keep those Zerglings from running by as quickly as they did. And now we're in the position we are now where, okay, yes, we have Nova still managing to do a significant amount of damage, but will not be able to really commit to that continued mineral line harassment, as those SCVs will actually be able to pick them off very easily. But no, he's actually going to come in here with these Zerglings, which just hanging on by the skin of their teeth in terms of health. Took out about 3 more SCVs, so that's very impressive, I have to say. Overall, just look at the resources lost so far, 400 at this point in the game, and unfortunately the Control R to bring up the actual workers killed does not work in a 2v2, but I will at least give you an idea that it was a good amount. So let's actually look up here at Tosh and see, okay, he's got the wall off, everything's looking fine. He's also got a robotics facility and a 3rd gateway on the way. So we have a 3-gate robo style play here, which is pretty safe, I would say. It's a good build, can counter most other ones early to mid-game. You know, getting that early Observer, you're going to be able to prevent that Banshee harass, be able to prevent Infestor harass in the base with that detection. Obviously, Immortal as well as Colossi, very effective units at both the mid and late stages of the game. So I think that the Protoss up there is going to be in a good position whatever these two players decide to throw their way, which I believe, looking at the build right now, obviously Infestation Pit, we're going to be seeing a continuation of that one base Infestor style of play, which, with this expansion going down, again, the Siege Tank position, you know, somewhere over here with some Marines, and the Infestors are going to be able to cut off this expansion, isolate it, and really hurt the Zerg player who will not have nearly as much tech. But he will have some roaches. That's good, except for the fact that Fungals can just, you know, annihilate those bunched up roaches combined with the siege tanks there and just create for a phenomenal play. Whoa, wrong unit there. I think that was a little bit of a misclick. So we do actually have Strifecrow and Axelov deciding to move out, take out this destructible debris. Okay, that's fine. But the thing with this build is that it's really going to be important for them to move out very soon. I say that because with this robotics facility completed and producing the Immortals, a robotics bay on the way, and this expansion now completed, we are going to actually see this build start to lose effectiveness as time goes on, because the purpose of this is to really capitalize on this tech advantage and, you know, the ability to control those early tier units by fungaling and then sieging. Great combination. But again, as you get into the 10, 11, 12, 13 minute mark, you're going to see Colossi start to come out. You're going to see, you know, your opponent get a bigger amount of units and basically just be able to overpower what the Terran player has here, which given is a respectable amount of units, but still can only hold up to so much when you've got a few Infestors, and that's it, backing it up for your partner. So really, it's going to be crucial to attack in the next short while, but I don't see it happening. I mean, they're just sitting down here, defending, and really looking around, we see that Nova has got a Zergling over here ready to prevent an expansion, which we do see a drone heading over as we speak, and we'll be looking to drop this down. Oh no, he's going to get caught by that Zergling. So again, even more so delayed with his economy. Nice burrow there, though. 2 hit points. So, as far as what we have going on over here, Tosh has claimed his own expansion. You know, Nova has claimed his own as well, and he'll probably be looking to claim this at some point here in the near future. We do have a huge probe transfer as well. Now, Nova does have control of this watchtower. This is a very good thing for them, because if those probes have actually transferred over there without control of this, you know, their opponent might have actually known about that, so they could have come. However, unfortunately for them, they do have 2 Infestors on the way. Again, it looks like they're just going to be checking these expansions, not really aware of this one just yet. Yep, going into unknown territory for them as the clock is still ticking. Keep in mind, Zerglings are trying to bust down this back ramp over here. And he's going to have to do something with these Infestors. He's got to make this pay for themselves, that early economic loss that he's had here. So, great Fungal's going to annihilate all of these probes. I think one of them might be able to make a daring escape with 4 hit points. Yes, indeed, he will, as the Marines finally are able to respond over here to that Zergling harass at the rocks down below. So, with the loss of this expansion, I feel like Tosh is still in a pretty good position, because, like I said before, he has done a 3-gate robo, which, you know, you can support it off of one base there. It's not that huge of a loss, whereas if he were going to be going for something like a 1-gate expand and had the same thing happen, then he might not quite have the infrastructure and the tech to fall back on. So, for now, we see that he does have that extended thermal lance completed, which really is going to make the effectiveness of that Infestor opener just drop off. I mean, yes, we have had some good harassment over here, but looking at what the 2 players down here had, I really, you know, get the feeling that they could have done so much more. Having that early siege tech, the Infestors, they could have come up, they could have isolated that base, but now we look and see Tosh and Nova are in a superior position in terms of economy. Look at this, 43-29, 46-25, so a little bit of a gap there, but still you're going to see Protoss continue to grow. as we do have, again, a little bit more harassment there. But you got to remember that Protoss had even more probes than their opponent there before he lost that expansion. So looking forward here to this one, we do have it going down for Nova. Another base. All right, that's fine. This Infestor obviously has been spotted by that Spore Crawler, and I think we're going to see, oh, nice fungal there, catching a lot of those drones, as well as the Queen, which actually will be able to afford this Infestor a clean getaway. If this is not asking for a fungal growth, I don't know what is. Let me just tell you, man. But I don't think we're going to see that, as StrifeCro only has a little bit of energy there. And looking here in the middle of the map, we see Tosh has opted to go ahead and take the high-yield expansion, looking again to try to gain an economic lead. The Terran player down here, all the while, Axelov, he has had this expansion for a little while now. We see it is fully saturated, gas and all, and he's sitting with 53 workers. And obviously his army reflects that. You see, he's got a decent bit of Vikings to counter the Colossi. He's got a nice chunk of Marines and a few Marauders as well. And the Zerg player, we'll actually just take a look at the unit composition real quick. We see that StrifeCro, he's got a few Infestors, 12, actually that's a lot. But that's it. That's it. He's got 6 Zerglings, I'm sorry, and 2 Queens, but I don't think we're really going to count those for the purposes of, you know, an army census here. Nice little line of infested Terrans, hoping to knock down these pylons. But overall, oh, this will actually supply block Tosh there. Never a good thing to have happen. Overall, though, I still feel like I almost called him Mosh and Tova. Nova and Tosh are in a superior position. StrifeCro, likewise, though, he is getting his expansion going finally. So once he gets this up, I think we're going to see him kind of grow and explode in about 5 minutes or so. I'd say even sooner than that, really. As basically he's just going to do another couple rounds of drones, send them over here in this expansion, and then just start mass producing whatever it is he feels the need to produce. But I don't know if he's going to have enough time, because you look at this, we already have 4 Colossi on the field, a healthy mixture of Gateway Forces as well as a bunch of Zerglings, Roach, and Corruptor. So those will be able to easily dispatch the Vikings there as well. You know, obviously, the Terran force down here, very Marine-oriented. I think this is just going to melt in the face of those Colossi. And looking down here, we do have Nova actually blocking this expansion with some nice creep spread right there. We do have StrifeCro up here with a couple Infestors, not really meant for anything other than just defensive purposes, you know. Keep an eye on the ramp, as well as in case there's any drops. But we do have some nice fungals going down here as StrifeCro's, oh man, poor Infestor. StrifeCro does lose an Infestor right there. Again, hoping to just kind of make sure there's nothing going on up here. We can head back over to Nova and see that he does have a few Broodlords now, as these Corruptors are slowly starting to morph into those. And as far as StrifeCro is concerned, just take a look at the unit composition now. We can see he's starting to get some Corruptors. He has lost 2 Infestors so far in this match. But as far as the Protoss is concerned, you see he's got 6 Colossi now, so plenty of those, a few Stalkers as well. And actually, look at this Nova hoping to take out this expansion. Really, this is, I think he has to know it's not likely that this is going to work, that Roach harassment. Yes, it did kind of divert the army, and looking around, we don't really see any serious consequences, you know, anything deriving from that, other than what we see here, which is actually very nice placement of those Zerglings, hoping to try to annihilate some of these SCVs. Nice fungal, though. Well, I was going to say nice. I thought it was all of the Zerglings, but it turns out it was just barely enough there to clip on the edge of my screen. So with this army way over here, Zerg hanging out way over here as well, and the Protoss just kind of sitting in the central position, I don't really think we're looking to have any major conflicts here in the next couple minutes. We are going to have these guys move out in order to make that happen, and we do have Tosh finally meeting up with his Zerg teammate with a very, very heavy amount of Broodlords. Look at all those, man, flying around. They're going to be able to do a serious amount of damage to whatever it is they come across. But StrifeCro building his own Broodlords as well, and he does have Viking support. We see here this giant Bioball is forced to retreat behind the tank army. He is going to have to kind of watch out, though, because the Protoss forces are hanging very close to the back entrance over here where Axelov is. And I think that looking over with this giant ball just kind of teetering between midfield and the right position, I don't think he's going to be in a great spot to respond very well to this. If he does, or if either one of them do, it's going to leave this high yield extremely vulnerable, which, yes, is just about out of minerals, and that's fine, but losing this high yield basically just means you lose control of the center area down here, which is very important to control this watchtower. It lets you kind of keep an eye on this space as well as up here with the main ramp. Now, we do have the Terran player heading over here while the Protoss looks to try to engage down here in the main, but realizes his Zerg friend is getting pretty much mopped up over here. So with all these Broodlords continuing on, the Vikings are going to actually be kept busy, and the Colossi are going to be able to do a ton of damage up here. This is actually working out very well for Tosh, as these Broodlords really aren't doing a whole lot down here. Yes, they're taking out a mostly mined out high yield expansion and distracting all the Colossi away from over here, where they are just annihilating the entire army for both players. You saw the Bioforest just dropped like a rock. You're also going to have all of these Broodlords get taken out by the Blink Stalkers as well. So looking here, we're just going to see the Protoss player come out in a far superior position on high orbit. So the Vikings actually able to come up and do a little bit of damage, but again with the Stalkers warping in, and the fact that Tosh already has a good strong presence of anti-air here on the battlefield, I think you're going to see Tosh and Nova just come out ahead and possibly come with the victory, because you look at this and we see all the while Zealots have been kind of chasing around. This is just a small force that was set aside from the rest of them there. We look and see as far as the base goes, while that giant fight was happening, those few Zealots I was talking about were left in the main and just obliterated the mineral line. Looking at the income right now, 33-54 to 51-43. So Zerg over here is slightly ahead in terms of the worker count, but notice that Strife Crow is running on double base up here, but the Protoss is making great inroads into this high-yield expansion area like I talked about. Now that he controls the central area, he's going to be able to press forward, deny reinforcements from the natural, keep them from meeting up with the main, and going to force the lack of a GG there. So Strife Crow and Axelov leaving, giving Team mousesports game number 1 here in this best of 3 match series. Let's go on to game number 2 and see what happens next.